can give. It's time for Big D Energy, live on Woodward Sports. Join four-time Stanley Cup champion and legendary badass Darren McCarty and the golden voice of Neil Rule, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., as they give their takes on all things Detroit sports. The number one midday show in Detroit is on. Welcome to Big D Energy.
Yeah, how you doing? Big D Energy, live from the Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational. I believe this is like our fourth year here with Woodward Sports. Let's turn this down. Turn that down, KG. There you go. All right, our fourth year here with Woodward Sports. Bunch of legends about, bunch of sports legends about, so we had to bring in a legend in himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Shepard filling in for the next 2 hours here.
I'm looking forward to this. This is fantastic. What a great setting, right? Unbelievable cause that they do on a yearly basis, and you're right. I mean, there's people everywhere. We're going to have Irving Fryer show up in a little bit, Kenny Anderson. Our social team is out there covering wall-to-wall, green-to-green. They've already talked with Johnny Damon and others. We just saw Braylon Edwards, who still looks like he could play today, and I don't say that in exaggeration. The man is 41 years old, and he looks like he's 21. He is yoked, but everybody's here for a great cause, Stick.
Yeah, just running down this list. Kenny Anderson, Lomas Brown, you're talking O.J. Anderson, Sada Baby is going to be here. I know you're a big Sada Baby fan.
Am I?
Joik Bell is going to be here. Former Woodward Sports midday host Joik Bell is going to be here. You just mentioned Johnny Damon. It's always a big event, and they always do it, and it's for such a good cause, too.
Yeah.
The Children's Miracle Network and just what they do throughout the year for this charity, and this event every year is just kind of like the hallmark of it, and they raise a lot of money. I mean, you walk in here, some of the best bacon I've ever had at the Detroit Golf Club. I mean,
I would say this place knows how to put on an outing.
Yeah.
So you've seen a lot of different outings come out here. Ted Lindsay golf outing, right? Of course.
Calvin.
They have the Rocket Mortgage Classic every single year. This place, Detroit Golf Club, knows how to put on an outing and do it right. Anyone who comes here seems to enjoy it, and they're coming back the following season.
Yeah, as they should. I mean, if you ever get a chance to just come in this historic place, it was built in 1899. You know, that's one of the things you love about Detroit. It's got that old Tudor feel to it, like the brick homes that are down here in Palmer Park and Palmer Woods, which, by the way, if you have the perception of Detroit where there's no beautiful homes down, drive through Palmer Park, and you will see some of the most beautiful homes in the entire world. But that's where we're at today, and all day long. We got BDE right now, and then, of course, Ermanni and Edwards is up later, but that's going to be with Sean Belizean and Anson because, like you said, Braylon's golfing in this, and Ryan's kids got their first day of school. Neil is out right now with DMAC. They're golfing in the DCFC thing. I mean, over the weekend, we were out at the Allied Challenge in Grand Blanc all weekend. So
how was that?
For my first PGA experience, I've never been to a PGA event. It was absolutely amazing. You know, John Daly's golfing out there. Ernie Els is golfing out there.
Stuart Sink won it.
Sink won it, and he was, he gave us a little nod when we were we were waving to him, and it was just a really fun event. And, to be a part of it in the media capacity like we were was really, really cool.
Yeah, there's something unique about golf when you follow the professionals, but also when you follow those guys at that senior level, you look at them and you're like, oh, that guy's in his 70s or a guy's in his late 60s. And then when he comes through the way they do and the way they still strike the ball, you think to yourself, it doesn't matter how long I play. I'm still not going to be a guy like that who's even a little bit more advanced in age. So love the fact that you guys were there. Love the fact that Michigan hosts so many great events, LPGA, Seniors Tour, and PGA events. It is a golfing mecca. There's no question about that.
Yeah, and that's what everybody kept saying when they were coming through, just talking about the quality of courses that Michigan has compared to the rest of the country. And, we only get 3 months to use them, so they better be nice.
Exactly.
But,
well, if you're a diehard, you'll start early, you'll end late. It doesn't matter if it's cold or not. You find a way to enjoy the game as much as you can. Right?
Yeah, so that we're going to be here all day. We got local celebrities coming on. We got big celebrities coming on. I see our very own Joey Namath walking around with TJ Lang there and Ronnie Illich of the Illich family. So, yeah, just nothing but big shots today. So we're going to bring some of those guys on, but we're also going to talk Detroit sports. I mean, there was a Lions preseason game this weekend.
Oh, was there?
We got you. Are you one of those guys, Shep?
Here's my point with preseason football. I used to be a diehard for preseason games. You get something out of it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
They've cut it down to 3, as everybody knows. It's a money grab. We know that, too. Anybody who doesn't think it's a money grab is nuts. They're eventually going to go to 18 games, so it's really not about the safety of the players. If you're going to have 3 preseason games, if you're not going to play any of your starters, and I know that's up to the individual, why are you wasting my time? Don't kid yourself. Anytime you go into a football season, the coach and his staff, the general manager and his staff, they know at least 48 players who've already made the team. The 3 preseason games, you're vying for basically 4 to 5 spots every year.
Yep.
Do you need 3 preseason games to do that? I'm not complaining that I didn't see Jahmyr Gibbs or I didn't see Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jared Goff. I don't need to see them. The coaches know more than I do. They don't necessarily need to see them. That's okay. What are you doing? I mean, it's
fair,
torture.
but
it's torture, Stick.
I would argue that the Lions this year, it's a little bit of an exception compared to years past because we already know the 11 starters on offense. Preseason was kind of just a waste of time for the Lions in finding starters this year. Now they're using preseason to find depth. And I'm okay with that. I want to see these 4th-string guys, these 5th-string guys play just to see what they could potentially have if catastrophe happens. And I look at preseason games like I'm able to watch and get up close. Oh, let's take a pause for the national anthem. We'll be right back on Woodward Sports. Well, and there we go. I thought Spenny went to commercial, but he kept us live that whole time. Listen, I'm not going to be sitting up here on stage wearing an America shirt with my America Lions hat and not stand for the national anthem.
I love it.
You know,
good for you.
You know, a good friend of ours, you know Chad Bush, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he kind of instilled that in me when we've been doing some high school basketball games together, and it's like, hey, you know, even if the national anthem starts and you're in mid-sentence, you cut and you show respect.
Yeah, it's bad timing if you don't.
Yeah, so beautiful rendition of the national anthem,
she was
too.
really good.
No, that was like a whole choir singing. They had them all warming up inside earlier, so I'm not sure which choir that was. We got to find out and give them some love. There we go. Yeah, we gotta show them some love. So yeah, talking about preseason, back into preseason. You're not a preseason guy. I love preseason just because I love any football, and when you wait so long, I'll take average football, and I'm not a big college guy.
Is it even average football? It's not that I'm not a preseason guy. I don't need this many games of 4th and 5th string guys to make a determination on whether or not, A, it's good football, B, who's going to make this team. Here's my issue. Coaches will tell you that the preseason games, the final results don't matter, which they don't.
Right.
And then they'll come back and they'll also talk to you about how much more important it is during practices and during scrimmages with other teams. If that's the case, if it's more important to see a lot of those players against their own ones or against an opposing team's ones, like Detroit practice against the Giants, then just limit it to that.
Yeah,
Don't give me.
I'm okay with that, but televise it. But televise. Yeah. I want to see it. That's all.
I get it. Look, I called Lions preseason for a long time, so it's important to me. Doing research on 90 guys for each side is not easy.
Yeah.
But
how many guys in this last game do you think are actually going to make the roster? Maybe 10 that actually played?
No way.
No?
No.
No, you got to think. You got your kicker. You got Bates. Fox played, right? Hooker played. So there's 3 that are going to make it. Sorzal, probably 4. Houston played. That's
true.
That's a guy. So, yeah, if you're getting a look at the depth, and that's all I'm saying. This year for the Lions, I do think it was an activity of futility. Like, they didn't need the preseason to decide who the 11 starters were on offense. But you got to remember, when the Lions were awful, we were using preseason to find out who the damn starters were going to be.
No, you're right. You're 100% right there. So some teams, I get it to a certain extent. I understand where it's all about. There are certain guys who understand that probably better than us, and Irving Fryer is one of them. Oh, man, I'm so fired up to be joined by this man. This guy,
Brady's going to turn the camera right here on Mr. Irving Fryer. And you've been fired up talking about Irving Fryer since we found out you were here, sir.
I love well, here's the thing. First of all,
can I interrupt you for a second?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Why? You asked me to come and sit. I thought sit.
You want to
sit?
Yeah, I want
and you got
to
me
sit
standing in the sun.
I want you to sit
and you're sitting in the chair.
You can move over into
It's all right.
That's why,
no, I'm just messing with you. I'm just being me.
Okay.
I'm just being me.
That's why I started to get up. First of all, I loved watching him. I loved watching him at Nebraska. Okay, believe it or not, I loved watching him at Nebraska. And I loved watching him play with Steve Grogan and the Patriots.
You're dating yourself.
I know. It's okay.
Yes.
I don't care.
That means we're both old.
That's okay, because I think sometimes newer is not always better. Let's put it that way.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
So you are a phenomenal player, and you're a reliable player. What's the biggest difference, do you think, in playing wideout today and wideout when you played?
The biggest difference is they throw the ball
a lot more,
3 times as much as they did, and the teams are, pass oriented. Back when I first came into the league, it was run the ball, and pass the ball if you had to pass the ball. Now it's pass the ball, and we'll run it every now and then. So the game has definitely shifted in that direction. When they put in all the new rules to protect the offensive players, that's because they want to see more scoring. They want to see more offense. Yeah. So those are the differences than when I played. And then, they could headhunt back then. Right. They can't hit people in the head now. They have to try to figure out a way how to bring the receiver down without getting a penalty. And sometimes the cornerbacks and the safeties injure themselves trying to figure out, okay, I can't hit him this way. I can't make contact that way. And they try to figure out what they can and cannot do and hurt themselves sometimes.
So you mentioned the change in the game and how it's evolved and stuff like that. For former players, when you're watching the new game, knowing your own skill set, you look at it like, man, if I had an opportunity to be out there today.
I was born 20 years too soon. I was born. Imagine this. My signing bonus, I can just be up front. It's public knowledge. My signing bonus, I was the first player taken in the draft in 1984. My signing bonus was $750,000.
That's great money back then, too.
No, it was good money, and my salary was $250 a year at that time. Now, in that position, these cats, not even starters, make more money in one contract than I made in 17 years. Yeah. Can you imagine that? They're making $30 million, $25 million. The receivers, the top receivers now making $30-35 million a year.
A year. But that's because the league has made so much more money. And, it's got to be awkward to acknowledge that, but they're not there without you, right?
Right.
So hopefully when those guys run into you, it's like, hey, thank you, because I could not be in my Maybach without you.
I saw one of them in a Rolls Royce the other day. I'm like, boy, that's a really nice truck.
What were you driving when you were in the NFL?
I just drove a black man's wheel, BMW. y'all don't know that's black man's wheels?
I didn't know that.
You never heard that before?
I had not heard that before.
That was the first car I bought, was a 633 CSI. Black man's wheels.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Feldman's got to add that to their pitch when they're selling BMWs.
That's a good point. So you look fantastic. We were just talking about Braylon Edwards. Braylon looks fantastic.
Yes.
You look fantastic. You've got a lot of friends out here, I'm sure. Why is this cause important to you while you're out here to play some golf?
Well, first of all, it's Mark Wahlberg. You know, who doesn't want to be around him?
Right.
He's outstanding. His family's outstanding. I played with one of the coordinators a couple of months ago in Otis Anderson's tournament in North Jersey. His name is Paul and Ashley. And we played with them, and I guess because I played so well, they invited me to come and play here. But just giving back, being a part of something that's positive, that's what we're supposed to do as human beings. Not because we're celebrities, not because we're connected in any kind of way. We're supposed to give to others, give to those who are less fortunate. We're supposed to do for those along the way. Otherwise, there's an old song, gospel song that says our living is in vain. We've got to be able to help somebody else. And when we come and play in these charity tournaments, whether it's for a hospital, whether it's for some organization that gives back or provides for the less fortunate, that's why we do that, because we've been given a gift, we've been given a talent, we've been elevated to a certain level in society where we are influencers, and for us to be able to at least take the time, if nothing else, to give back a little bit, that's what life is all about. Because we're only here for a little while, brother.
I love you.
We're only here for a little while.
That is so cool.
Well, we appreciate you using that little while to talk to us for just about 5 minutes, man.
It's just a little while. I'm out.
Hey, real quick, what was it like playing for Tom Osborne? What'd you think?
Tom Osborne, man. Listen, if I pull my phone out and call Tom right now, he would answer the phone. He answers the phone every time I call him, and it's not just for me. He's like that with every athlete that has connected with him throughout his career. That's Tom Osborne. I didn't realize the value, the wisdom, the opportunity I had when I was in his presence in school, when I was actually under his tutelage physically and right there in his presence, because I was young and stupid. When we're young, we're stupid. Sometimes we're old and we're stupid too. But I was young and stupid. But now I'm in my 60s, and his voice from back then when I was in 17, 18, 19 years old, his voice speaks louder now in my life than it did back then. That's the kind of cat. I'm very fortunate, man. I've been able to play for Tom Osborne, played for Raymond Berry, played for Don Shula. I'm very fortunate.
You're a doctor now, aren't you?
Twice. I got 2 doctorates. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I'm never doing it again.
Well, if you got 2,
only 2, my bad.
Hey, no offense, but it's like those black man vehicles. How many do you need, right? How many more doctorates
Well, I
do you
had
need?
2. No.
Hey, man, you look fantastic. I'm
Yes.
telling you right now, we loved watching you in a career.
I appreciate that. Thank
New
you so
England
much.
And Miami. Thanks for everything. And,
Yeah, thanks
have
for
fun
having me
today,
on.
man.
God bless you.
Yeah,
All
you
right.
too.
Thanks
Take
for stopping
care.
by.
Yes,
Great
sir.
to meet you.
What a great dude.
And my partner, who said I'm a partner? Oh, I didn't get that yet.
I think maybe they asked who your partner was. It doesn't matter with the way he's playing.
No, this is the man you want to be out there with.
How good does he? He's in his 60s for Christ. Look at him. He's in his 60s. All us younger people. Can we take note? Can we start eating right, exercising on a regular basis? If you can look like him or Braylon Edwards, wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah, but unfortunately, people would just rather take the shots and try to drop weight that way. that's why that's the new hotness. We got to take a break. When we come back, we got more for the Detroit Golf Club. We are here at the Feldman
Good
Automotive
stuff.
Mark Wahlberg Golf Outing for the Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational. Matt Shepard, my name is Stick. We'll be right back, but let me tell you about Dispo, right? Is that where we're at, Spenny? All right, turn on his mic, KG.
About Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug. They've got the best selection and the best prices around. If you need something, make sure you go check it out with Dispo. They got that Hyman John Daly collab coming soon. So Dispo Dispensary is your local cannabis plug. You can scan that QR code right there and get a free $10 with a minimum purchase of $25. It's Dispo Dispensary, your local cannabis plug.
To any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week, walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Enough Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Make sure you're tapping in Sundays for the pregame show and the Woodward and Maine. Woodward and Maine, couldn't remember for a second. With our own Terry Foster and Matt Broder before the games and the pregame show with Neil Rule and Sean Belizean. It's presented by Sabbath Coffee Roasters and Tullamore Dew Distillery. Make sure you guys check out the Woodward and Maine and pregame show. Every weekend, every Lions game, we're going to be doing it right. The best Lions coverage in Detroit here on Woodward Sports.
And we are live at the Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational with Mark Wahlberg and the whole, I opened this booklet and it looks like every I had no idea there were this many Wahlbergs. You see that? There's 6 of them. Mark, Donnie, James, Bob, Paul, Brandon. I know Donnie, and I know Mark, and I know Paul from the Wahlburgers, but I didn't know about the other 3, so glad they're here too. It's a family affair here at the Detroit Golf Club. Welcome to Woodward Sports. It's Big D Energy. My name is Stick. I am filling in for Neil Rule today. We will say Matt Shepard is filling in for D-Mac today. They are out golfing as well and taking advantage of this beautiful weather we've been having.
Good for them, man. Good for them. But that opens up an opportunity for you and I, man. It's so cool that we get an opportunity to talk to a lot of different people and do it from a wonderful place.
You know, media is a lot like sports, and I always tell our interns that when they come in. Listen, the only way you're ever going to get into the starting lineup is if somebody moves on or they get hit by a truck, and that's unfortunately the only way it happens in this business. But it's competitive, and if someone leaves, you step in. That's it.
I was talking with all the great teammates that we have here at Woodward Sports, and we were figuring out who we wanted to go and try and talk to and bring some people in. And I said, hey, listen, if they say no, who cares?
Right.
They probably will forget you by hole number 4, and that's okay too. So if they say no, no big deal. You move on. You ask the next person. Eventually, somebody may say yes.
I use that same approach in dating. It's a numbers game. You just keep taking the no's till you get that one yes. All you need is one yes, and one yes we got right now.
Well, remember,
Feldman and Nova.
Love is only a light switch away, so you're okay with that.
That is, beauty is in the eye of it. Ryan, what's going on, man?
What's going on, gentlemen? How you guys doing today?
All right, this is Ryan from Feldman Chevrolet in Novi.
Hey, but here's the thing. Before we start, I just want to say Joey and I were talking last night, and I know D-Mac and Neil aren't up there, but I'm going to guarantee that I do better last year with the Pigskin Pick'em this year.
It'll be hard to do worse.
Spenny. Michigan won the national championship last year. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut. Oh, we're going to go into that. No.
Why did you pick that at the beginning of the year?
I did. I'm a Michigan man.
What do you
but
do?
You
can
could
ask
pick that
Spenny.
every year for the last 20 years.
I pick it every year. No, for my whole life.
Okay, but if you're doing it with your heart, it doesn't count. You got to do it with your head. Are you Are you too emotionally attached, or are you just thinking about it? If you pick Michigan because, look, I may not love them, but I got to give them their props. I'm going to pick them. That means, to me, more than saying, you know what? I pick them just because I love them, and I'm going to root for them every single year.
Listen, here's the thing. Spenny, number one, knows that I am probably one of the more fair Michigan fans. Okay.
I don't think that's a confirmation.
But I am.
He is fair.
But listen, we're all talking about what's going on today, and I think what's going on today is the Woodward Sports team of golfers. We're gonna go low.
You're going low?
We're gonna win this thing just like Michigan won the national championship.
Why are you guys playing from red, or what do you mean?
Just like Michigan murdered Michigan State, that's what we're gonna do to everybody else in this golf outing today.
Cheers.
Well, I was talking to Ronnie Illich, and he said they shot 6 under last year and won.
Wow.
And usually at outings like this, you're like negative 22.
Well,
Corey,
not at a course
if we
like
do
this.
6 under, hang on. If we do 6 under, are we calling ourselves golfers today? Yeah, no.
What are you gaming for then?
What are we gaming for? 14, 15 under.
I would guess that would win it. What's the collective handicap then?
Oh, he's like a 2. I'm like a 7. Joey's like a 58. We just met our other partner. We don't. I think Irving is. I mean, I thought we saw Irving on our card. Irving Fryer.
Oh, you're playing with Irving
Supposedly,
Fryer.
yeah.
Oh, good.
Well,
good.
we see, we're shooting content for the dealership and for Woodward Sports. We're going to go mic'd up the whole round.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, oh yeah. So we're gonna have special footage and it should be good.
Well, who's the 58? You said who's the 58?
Joey.
Joey.
The hashtag Joey Radio.
So here's Joey's job. Beer cart. You guys want
Exactly.
anything?
Yeah. 100. I've already told him that. I said, dude,
it.
your job is to get beers all day.
How many of Joey's shots do you think you're going to use during this round?
What's the over/under? Let's set an over/under.
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay.
Was it one?
So
we
let's
set it
say
1.5.
1.5.
1.5?
I'd say that's
I'll
fair.
take the over.
1.5.
You'll take the over?
I'll take the over. Are you a good? I don't think
He's a 7. He's a 2.
He's not a 7.
I don't.
You want to bet?
Yes.
Who am I
Okay.
to doubt him? Who am I to doubt him? If he's a 7, he's a 2. Irving Fryer. Here's my guess. I bet you they don't use any of his shit.
Irving
Yeah, I'm
Fryer's
going
on your
under.
squad?
I'm pretty sure we saw his name.
Oh, well, okay. That changed the conversation.
Yeah.
But you're a 7?
Yeah.
Damn, man. All right.
So if it's is it par 71 out there or 72?
I haven't even looked at the scorecard.
Doesn't even
Listen,
matter.
it don't
All right,
matter.
so let's say it's
I'm just
seven-
going to take a driver, hit the driver, and let anybody else do whatever they want to
So
do.
let's say it's 71, okay? So you guys, if 6 under is not going to be happy,
No,
so you're going to shoot for 12 to 14 under par,
14.
14 under par.
We're going 14. We're going low.
So
Okay.
that's a 57.
Just like Michigan,
no
when
way
they play
they're-
Michigan State, they keep their low score. We're going to make sure we're just like that, except we're not going to be Michigan State.
So you
I
guys are-
haven't given this to you in a while.
so you
It's
guys
been
are
a
gonna
while.
cheat, is what
no,
you're saying?
No, there's never cheating. Listen, you still got to play the games.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. We can definitely cheat and get the competitive
You
advantage.
still got to play the games.
Sanctions coming down pretty soon.
How many
still gotta
wins
play the
will
games.
Michigan have this year? Give me the over. I'm going to give you the over under.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 9.5.
Over.
You don't want to think about that, huh? So in
Over.
other words, so that's 10. So who are the 2 losses?
So I'm really nervous about the Texas game.
Okay, that's a home game, but go ahead.
It doesn't matter. It's going to be the Texas game is really nervous to me.
Okay.
And it's really hard to beat Ohio State 4 years in a row. It is. I mean, I'm just being completely honest. It's hard to
So
beat that type
you
of
think
rivalry.
I think arguably the best team on their schedule is Oregon. So you think they're going to beat Oregon?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I do. Well, I mean,
It's interesting. I would have picked them to beat Texas before I'd pick them to beat Oregon.
I don't know. Every time I look at the schedule, the Texas game just pops out at me.
I'm
It does.
curious. I just don't know what you're going to get out of the Michigan team this year. You know, you wonder how much.
You
of
know
the-
they're going to beat Michigan State, so it doesn't matter. I mean, you know,
You don't
does
know
matter.
that.
It matters. It matters.
You
It
don't
matters.
know that.
they're going
Okay.
to beat Michigan State.
well, their defense is a son of a gun. So
Yeah.
their defense will be just as good, if not better. Than
Well, the
last year.
defensive line is already ranked number 1 in the nation, isn't it?
Yeah, but preseason means nothing to me.
Yeah, I don't even look at
Ohio
that
State's
stuff.
been preseason ranked number 1 for my entire life in something,
Right.
and they never win a damn thing.
My hate
not really
for
worried about-
Ohio has gotten even worse over the last couple months. Like I've had some encounters with some fans, and I'm like I said, I'm like the normal nice guy, right? I don't really like rub it in people's face.
Dude, I just met you, and you're all right. I can understand my life.
He's been doing it all show.
He's just normal, though. Just normal.
What are you talking about? You're
well,
just
listen.
a normal guy.
You know, I'm just a normal guy.
Love
but
your reputation. Live it and
exactly,
move on.
you know. But some of these Ohio fans that I've met have literally driven me nuts, and I literally can't take it anymore.
It's the worst fan base that has ever
100%.
existed.
That's one thing Spenny and I can agree on.
Yeah.
And
So
college football.
I'll give you a quick story. Now, this is a little different, but I called Michigan basketball for 15 years. We're in Columbus. I'm sitting there, and there's these guys behind us constantly swearing. It's bleeding over into the microphone.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So all I did was turn around during a commercial break, and I said to them, hey, I appreciate that you love your team. I really do, and I appreciate that you don't like Michigan. Could you just watch the language? That's all I asked since it's bleeding over. What do you think happened? Oh, Kenny Anderson's here.
Yeah.
What do you think?
All right, time for me to go win, just like Michigan.
Kenny
Okay.
Anderson.
Hey, speaking of winning, Kenny Anderson's alma mater won opening weekend. You know that, right? I mean, Georgia Tech went to Dublin
Yes.
As a 10.5-point dog.
and opened up a can on Florida State.
Yes.
How good are you feeling about that, Kenny?
I'm feeling great, man.
Yeah.
I love the direction my old program is going in football-wise. Basketball, we're coming with Damon Stoudemire, the head coach.
Yeah.
I love it, though. I love the whole sports atmosphere at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
We're rebuilding. We're getting it together.
Do you think you played for Bobby Cremins?
Yes.
Hell of a coach.
Yeah.
You had some unbelievable teams. Can Damon Stoudemire do something similar in a tough atmosphere down there because of Georgia's power to wherever it is Athens is compared?
His will and his coaching ability, yes, he could.
Okay.
But
All right.
NIL, different. It's a different era of
Yeah.
basketball, football. These college players getting paid now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just Georgia Tech. This is what I was thinking about. I was talking to a good friend of mine. It's a highly educated school.
I know.
Engineering.
Yeah. Tech.
It's tough.
Georgia Tech.
It's tough
Right.
for, to maintain your GPA, to stay eligible, and it's tough. So if he could, outlast that, and he can win. He can win there, but it's going to take some time.
So, speaking of kind of throwback to how things have changed, you played in the NBA
Yeah.
till 2006.
Yes.
So that means you were there when the 04 Pistons were doing their thing, right?
Yeah.
The defense and the game has evolved since then. Can you just describe what that team was like and their perception on other teams in the league during that time about these guys? It's like, none of them are all-stars. What the heck's going on with these dudes?
It's hard body.
Yeah.
Hard body. Detroit, they get this from where they come from, Detroit. It was just workman-like showman. That's what they did. With Rasheed Wallace, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, Ben Wallace. It was a good team. It was a very good team, but a good mindset. And they had Chauncey Billups running it. And he's a great coach, great young man, and, it was tough.
Yeah, and Joe Dumars at the top, too, running it. It was now, the president doing his thing.
Yeah. You were running your offenses wherever it may be, whether it be with the Nets or the Pacers or the Celtics. You were a true point guard, right? It's different now with the guys who are handling at the point. Luka Doncic is a really good example. What's your overall take on the NBA and how it's evolved in that regard?
The point guards are shooters, scorers now.
Yeah.
Because the 4s and 5s are leaked out on the 3. It's a 3-point game now. The lane is wide open. When I came in the league, you had to drop it into the 4 or the 5, or you was gonna hear it, or you might have to fight one of them big dudes at halftime in the locker room. You just wasn't going. I wasn't dealing with it like that. So I was just giving back. I had to run the team. Yeah. I had to shoot what I was able to, but get the ball to these guys in the right situation. The 4 and the 5, and then the 3 was also, a big thing. And I'm happy today. I'm seeing an old net. Chris Morris is in the house, so I was happy to see him, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I saw you breaking bread with Ron Harper too. You're a coach now, right? Fisk University.
Yes, I was. I was at Fisk University. I resigned. Okay. Now I'm still coaching at Florida Coastal. In Fort Walton.
Who did you learn most from that carries over into your coaching style today?
Well, I was able to play for some great coaches. Yeah. But I like to take my high school coach, Jack Curran, and my college coach, Bobby Crimmins. They're just great men. I played for Chuck Daly, Detroit. That was one of my best years, my all-star year in the NBA under Chuck Daly. He was awesome. P.J. Carlissimo, Rick Carlisle. Yeah. I played for some great coaches, but those two, Coach Jack Curran from high school and Bobby Crimmins.
So what's the common denominator between all those great coaches that you now have?
Great relationship with the players. Yeah. And it goes way far beyond basketball.
Do you find the players have a different mentality now? Because that's what we hear about all the time because of AAU, some entitlement issues, stuff like that. Is it harder to gain those relationships with these guys?
Yes.
Yeah?
And he's just looking at us like, what do you think?
Guys just want numbers, man.
Oh, yeah, they've been told they were special.
How can I get my numbers?
They've been told they were special since they were this big, right?
So it's really difficult.
Yeah.
But I'm at Florida Coastal. It's in Fort Walton. I'm prep school coaching these young men. We start school September 28th. So I'm excited to give it. My main thing is just giving back to the game I love.
Good for you.
Well, and it seems like prep school is where you can start to really have the most influence on a kid leading into his future. There's a kid locally, Trey McKinney, who plays for Orchard Lake St. Mary's. Yeah. And there's a kid, Darius Acuff, who played for Cass Tech. He went on. He moved on. But through AAU, they're still playing, even though Acuff left to go take a different route. They're both going to be pro prospects in the end, but one staying local and seems a little more like he wants to grassroots the drive to get there, and the other one wants to do the AAU route. Nothing wrong with either path. If you can get to the NBA, however you get there, but there's something to be said for the kid who sticks it out.
Yeah, definitely. Back when I played, it was either you played 4 years of high school, got recruited.
Right.
Went to college, and I left my sophomore year from Georgia Tech, but I wanted to leave junior C. I wasn't in no rush, but my coach, at the time, he was like, you got to leave because you're going to go 1, 2, or 3.
Right.
You got to. Yeah. So I looked at it, and I had to go. But I was thinking also Travis Best was coming behind me to Georgia Tech. Yeah. So my coach didn't care about me. He wanted me out of there.
I don't know, man.
Clearing the room?
I don't know. When you want to keep All-Americans. You're an All-American. Come on, man. Yeah. Last question for you. How's your golf game, and have you played this track before?
Yes, it's my 3rd year. Okay. My golf game is terrible, but I'm just out here having fun. I got to learn. And this golf world is awesome. Yeah. You meet a lot of business people, all type of people. It's awesome, but I got to get better. That's what I was telling my wife on the way here. It's like, I'm terrible. I'm going to mess up this golf course.
Hey, listen, love seeing you, man, and really appreciate it. Love watching the college and in the pros. All the best to you, your university, and your family.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being on.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
He's a hell of a player, man.
Yeah.
Dude could shoot. He was a tough SOB, too. If you ever watched him play, even though he was, the diminutive kind, the Isaiah Thomas clone, this dude could flat out get it done. Lefty, beautiful stroke, All-American at Georgia Tech. Good stuff right there.
Yeah, like he was talking just about the big men in the lane, how he had to feed them or he'd hear from it, and now that they're spread out, and that was another thing that point guards had to deal with. If you drove the lane, there were two bigs waiting on you to put an elbow to you. You know, today it's like you go down there, and Jokic's hanging around the three-point line. He's not going to put you down.
The thing I loved about that, though, Stick, and I covered him when he played, so dating myself again, but I don't care because they're such good players. They would get knocked down. They would get beat up. But they're still coming back.
Yeah.
You don't need a wheelchair for them to take them off the court. Hi, Dwayne Wade.
Paul Pierce.
You know what you do? You go out there, you go back inside again.
Yep.
It's like when some of the baseball players, they get knocked down. You know what they did? They dug in deeper.
Yep.
And they were ready to go again on the next pitch. Kenny Anderson is one of those guys. You hit him in the lane, he'll get up, he'll shove you, and then he'll go to the lane next time down, too.
It's tough to beat someone who doesn't quit.
Yeah.
It really is.
Personally, I love the toughness.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys.
You're a Detroit guy, though.
Well,
that's why.
But
if you were from L.A., you'd want the finesse.
Possibly, although I'll take Kobe Bryant's toughness any single day of the week. Your question was a really good one. The perception of 2004 outside Detroit.
Yeah.
It verifies, it validates what we thought about that team back then. Another player in the league told you exactly what you and I thought about that team in the first place. That's pretty cool.
I love that psychological end of it, too, because we know, like you said, we know what was happening here, but when you're sitting in another locker room and the coach is, like, telling you, oh, we got to play these guys. It's a cerebral team. They're very tough. It's cool that just spreads through the league, and now that's what you are.
So who is that guy? I've said this for a long time. The 2004 Pistons epitomized Detroit as well as any championship team this city has ever had.
Yeah.
Now, the 68 Tigers I didn't see. They brought a city together. But the 2004, the underdogs, the ones that nobody thought would give a chance, they weren't real pretty at what they did, all that stuff, and yet they won it all. The Lions these days, they are very much in a similar conversation because of, I think, their general manager, their head coach, and not that their players are underrated because they're highly rated, but the attitude that they bring. Aiden Hutchinson, was it going to be him or a couple of other guys coming out? Hutchinson's proven that he's the guy. Amon-Ra St. Brown remembers all the wide receivers taken ahead of him.
I love that.
I love that stuff. There are certain athletes who I have, and I'm sure you do too, and I'm sure many of our viewers and listeners have, that you can't get enough of. That's who you want Detroit to be.
Yeah, and it's interesting how this city is always successful when the teams are built that way, right?
Yeah,
when you try to bring in, the West Coast offense and be pretty, doesn't work. When you bring in Mike Martz and try to bring the greatest show in turf, worked a little bit. It was okay, but it never won anything. If you want to win in Detroit, doesn't matter the sport. Hockey, grind line, bad boys, going to work. That's the mentality you need. And the guy in the moment that really, for the Lions, to me, turned everything around was Penei Sewell. I mean, the moment when Aaron Donald got in his face as a rookie and he grabbed that dude's face mask and let him know, I'm not going anywhere, the baddest dude in the league he stood down with, it was like, okay, we have a leader similar to Ndamukong Suh in that intensity and scariness, but also a lot smarter than Ndamukong Suh on the field and a lot less emotional. But another guy we haven't mentioned in this is Chris Spielman.
I see. I'm glad you brought that up because I've said this for a long time. Chris Spielman does not get nearly enough credit for helping guide this franchise to where it needs to be. He was in on so many important discussions, but he doesn't find the camera. He doesn't find the microphone. He gives it away to everybody else. But that guy knows football inside and out. He deserves more credit than he's received so far.
Well, and if you go back and watch Chris Spielman play, I know this is dating me too, but I grew up watching Chris Spielman, the slit, the bleeding across the nose.
That way, Like Matt Millen, I hate to bring that. Matt
Fair
Millen
point.
was a son of a bitch.
Fair
okay?
point. Fair point.
Can I say that? I'm sorry.
Yes.
He was a really tough SOB when he played. He won rings, man. He was
Yep.
an All-American at Penn State. He was a bad man. That doesn't mean that he's really good at what he does.
And I
right?
can't argue that. That is a very fair point if you want to use the Matt Millen route, because he was everything that we wanted. He just wasn't anything that we wanted
He
at the
just
same
didn't recognize the talent,
right?
That Spielman
He's
recognizes.
like Jordan when Jordan tried to coach, right? Like Jordan can't teach
Or
you to
own.
Yeah, he can't teach you to be Jordan.
Right.
Like he doesn't, and it's crazy how the uber talented can't always identify
That's right.
talent because they take it for granted.
Right.
It's like,
well,
wait.
Wayne Gretzky had the same problem.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, Isaiah Thomas had the same problem.
Yeah.
But I think with this Lions team, what I like most about it, and you bring up Penei Sewell, which I love, but it's how you built that team. You built that team from the inside out.
Yeah.
If you look at Detroit and you call it grit and you call it toughness and you call it blue collar, that's all fair. There's a lot of cities like that, though. What Detroit did was build from the inside out, which I think reinforces what Detroit is really all about. They're getting the guys that maybe you're not always watching them. You're watching the football. But the guys who fart in the huddle, those are the guys you want. No, I'm serious, man.
Clip that.
Those are the guys who blow. They blow their nose. They fart in the huddle.
Yeah.
They don't want to be interviewed
The
afterwards.
big nasties.
The big nasties. That's what they are.
That's
Yep.
that's Spenny. Spenny's a fart in the huddle guy.
I definitely fart in the huddle.
Well, on that, we're going to take a break. Who we got, Spenny?
I'll go to Premier Pet Supply. Premier Pet Supply is hands down Michigan's best pet store. Same prices and all the conveniences of the online and big box retailers, with one major difference. They are family and locally owned and operated for over 30 years. 60 brands of food and nutrition experts to help you. Same day, local curbside home delivery. Premier Pet Supply. Give your pet the best. www.premierpetsupply.com.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
At Planet Fitness, you can get everything you need for just $1 down.
Trying out Planet Fitness and dang, they got lots of equipment.
Not me getting a Planet Fitness membership just for the 24-hour perk.
Hey, y'all better get on these free fitness training sessions from Planet Fitness.
Did y'all know that the PF app has workouts you can do at home?
Cheapest therapy I can find is Planet Fitness.
Join Planet Fitness today and get everything you need for just $1 down. $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends Thursday, July 18th.
Hey, you're looking to get a nice fresh cut, especially when it's this hot out. You want the nice short haircut. You want to look like Matt Shepard. You go to Lady Jane's. That's where you go. You get a wicked awesome haircut. You can walk in anytime, 7 days a week. And if you go to the one in Birmingham, stop by the Woodward Sports Studios and say hello. We are broadcasting Monday through Friday through there. So Lady Jane's, check it out. It's wicked awesome. And then Guardian Alarm, right, Spenny?
Yes, sir.
Guardian Alarm. I love seeing those signs out in front of houses. You know, when I see those signs, you know what that means to me?
Stay out.
I got to stay out that house, because even if I wanted to go in that house, Guardian Alarm would catch me.
That's true.
You know, it's that peace of mind when you're out traveling, you know somebody is watching your house with that 24/7 surveillance. So if you want people to stay out, you call 1-800-STAY-OUT.
Guardian Alarm farts in the huddle.
Oh, yeah. Great comment here, Shep, for you. Inquiring minds want to know.
All right.
What about the guy that pee in their pants instead of running to the locker room?
Yeah,
Where do they stand? You want those guys on your team?
I'm not so sure. That means that could be interpreted that they're a little scared.
Oh.
So I don't know if I neccionecessarily want those guys, right?
That's a fair point. I like that. Going deeper on it.
Yeah.
Going deeper on the deep questions here.
Let's overanalyze that stuff.
It's Woodward Sports, Big D Energy. My name is Stick, filling in for Neil Rule. That is Matt Shepard, filling in for the 4-time Stanley Cup champion, Darren McCarty. We got Spenny out here. We got KG out here. Kool-Aid's out here. JB, Ryan Lentz.
Everybody's out here.
Joey's actually golfing today. It's hot.
It is hot.
Who's Joey golfing with again?
Joey's golfing with just a bunch of dudes from Feldman. It's the Feldman golf outing, so he's
Ryan
he's with the
Poulter
big
will be
wigs.
out there. Yep.
Ryan Poulter, the guy we were just talking to, a big
Right.
Michigan fan.
Yep.
He's going to be out there golfing.
I wouldn't have known.
I love my lunch in my car.
I think they're going to serve an incredible lunch
That's not
here.
good.
Yeah.
It's going to be really spoiled when you get there.
What'd you bring?
It's a
Spenny?
salad.
Oh God,
That's good.
that's it's gonna be a wilted salad.
I've had worse.
Kind of going off the prep here, because Shep, before the show, you brought up a topic. They released the top 100 players in the NFL.
Yeah. How many Lions do you think are on that list? Give me a guess.
I mean, I was in on this conversation, so let's let Spenny guess.
Let's see. Penny, Amon-Ra, Goff, Hutch, Frank. That's probably it. Probably 5.
There's 5, but you didn't name all of them correctly.
Ooh.
Who do you think is rated the highest?
Penny Sewell.
Would have been my guess.
That was my guess too. No.
Aiden Hutchinson.
Wow.
Aiden Hutchinson's ranked 19th. Okay.
Now, what was their? Was this voted on by the players or?
No, that's why.
Okay.
Look, the players did a vote, and the Lions had, Frank Ragnow was on it. It's. I think that means a little bit more to me. With all due respect to every member of the media, I want to. It's hard to find, I believe, something true objective, because I think a lot of players vote for their buddies.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of members of the media hold it against certain players if they're not willing to talk to them.
Yeah.
I remember trying to interview Randy Moss one time, a complete jerk, and I thought to myself, man, but he's one of the greatest receivers of all time.
Right.
You can't hold that against him. There's too many members of the media who hold things against. I mean, think about this for a second.
Oh,
right?
the baseball writers of America.
Oh, for God's sake! I mean, there's somebody out there who we'll keep it, recent. Somebody out there really said, Ken Griffey Jr. is not a Hall of Famer.
Right. He shouldn't be on first ballot because nobody goes first ballot.
Somebody said that about Ken Griffey Jr. Somebody said it about Ty Cobb. Somebody said it about Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams. The first flipping guy who gets 100% of the votes is a reliever. It's a closer. Think about that for a minute.
Yeah.
That's how messed up that stuff is, but I digress.
Yeah, it should almost be a standard, like where if they look at these votings and you're like the one guy who didn't get it right, they should revoke you being able to write about baseball. If you can't even recognize what everybody else is seeing with their eyes,
it's incredible.
You may be biased.
I get the certain arguments with Scott Rowland, but Ted Williams is arguably the greatest hitter of all time. Somebody said no to that.
That's
okay?
wild.
Somebody said no to that. Somebody said no to Mickey Mantle. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense.
But back to the Aiden Hutchinson being the top listed player for the Lions, because Spenny, you had the same reaction I did. You had the same reaction I did. Like, Penei Sewell, to me, is the top Lions player. I wouldn't even put Hutchinson as the top 3, right? Like, you got, because Amon-Ra, I would put over Aiden Hutchinson. Yeah. And this isn't a knock on Aiden Hutchinson. Hutch is great.
I would not do that.
You wouldn't put Amon-Ra over him?
No, maybe I look at it wrong, but I'll tell you the reasoning. I think Penei Sewell's the best tackle in football.
Yeah.
Trent Williams, obviously, but he's got the lock in right now with San Francisco. I think Penei Sewell's the best tackle in football. If somebody said, go pick a tackle right now from the NFL and start your franchise, he'd be the guy because he's only 23 years old.
Right.
Okay?
Crazy.
So,
crazy.
Wide receiver-wise, with all due respect to Amon-Ra St. Brown, would you do that with him? I bet you the 4 of us could collectively name, and it's nothing against him. I think he's a hell of a player. I think there's about 10 other guys you could argue for. Hutchinson, I would say there's probably another 5 guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, you could have the same argument for defensive end.
Garrett,
But for Amon-Ra St. Brown, I was asked the question the other day. Was it you, Spenny, that asked me, would I trade Amon-Ra St. Brown straight up for Justin Jefferson?
No.
And
okay. And are you about to say no?
I am about to say no.
Oh my God.
With a caveat, because of the understanding and the continuity of this offense, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown plays his role in this offense at an A-plus level. Do you think Justin Jefferson's going to take that to an A+++?
I don't think who cares about the offense? You don't think Justin Jefferson can adjust to the offense? What's the one thing we've all said about the Lions' need from a wide receiver standpoint?
Well, they need that deep. They need a deep threat.
Who's the best deep threat in football?
Right, but then who's going to play the Amon-Ra role? Who's your underneath guy? who's your possession
you can
guy.
find some underneath guys.
Not like Amon-Ra, though.
Well,
and that's what makes this offense go. So that's what makes it very interesting is because of the success that they've had. And I get it, talent-wise, if we're doing measurables, if we're having the Flannel Sam conversation, it's like, okay, this guy runs a better 40, he's taller, blah, blah, blah.
I
but if we're
don't
talking
care about the 40 time, I care about performance. And for sure, Amon-Ra St. Brown's got the performance. It's turned into almost I don't want to knock Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think he's a phenomenal player, deserves to be a Pro Bowl, love that he's a Lion. I would have signed him to the extra contract too, okay? But Justin Jefferson's in borderline league of his own. I mean, if you're talking about the best wide receiver in football, Justin Jefferson is in the conversation for that title. And I'm not sure. I don't think Amon-Ra St. Brown is.
I think he's beginning to pry into that conversation, right? As of last year, he's in that conversation. The way he got paid, he's in that conversation.
The way you got paid, look, Brandon Ayuk's going to get a lot of money too. Do you think he's the best wide receiver in football?
I'm not an Ayuk guy. Yeah, I'm not an Ayuk guy.
But you're talking about paid. If it's all determined by how much you get, then Jared Goff is one of the top 5 quarterbacks in football, right?
You don't have to debate that with me. I agree. I agree with that.
But he's not. Right?
He is though.
No, he's not.
I mean, he's top 5 in yards, right? Top 5. I mean, right?
He was top 5 in yards last year.
Yeah.
So and they were They were number 2 in scoring, right?
So I guess 2 is better than he is, since he led the league in yards.
Well,
I guess Dak Prescott's better.
But
since
we're adding more things to that too, because they also led the league in scoring, and I think yardage and points are probably the 2 most important things you want on offense, right?
I would, instead of yardage, I'd rather see touchdown to interception ratio. Okay, or if you want to go completion.
I mean, didn't Jared Goff go like 400 passes without throwing an interception to start the season?
Yeah, but I don't know 400.
What was that number?
It was a pretty.
I think Dak Prescott led the league in 400 completions. I don't think Jared Goff went 400. I could be wrong there. All I'm saying
it was the end of last season, the beginning of this season. He crossed some like unbelievable number, and then he threw like 3 in one game. So
383.
300. So almost 400, Shep.
Yeah.
So if you're talking touchdown to interception ratio, that's a pretty good ratio.
It's a fantastic ratio. All I'm saying, and you're right. We move the goalposts. We use different statistics to.
That's what makes sports fun.
It makes it beautiful. I just don't think many people. He's a top 10 quarterback. I don't think many people would say he's top 5. That's all. And the same thing with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Okay.
Not knocking them. I'm just saying Justin Jefferson or Amon-Ra St. Brown. There aren't many guys. Let's put it this way. There aren't many wide receivers I'd rather have than Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Jefferson's one of them.
Jefferson's one of them.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase is one of them.
Looking at the chat right now, best deep threat in the NFL is Tyreek Hill. So there's that. Jefferson's a diva and doesn't have grit. What do you think about that?
Disagree.
All right, a better fit, so I wouldn't trade for him, so somebody agrees with me on that. Yeah. Deep threats are harder to find than slot guys, so somebody agrees with you. That's Jay Thomas. Amon-Ra isn't I'm not going to swear because we're at the golf course, but isn't a B word either. So
do you think Justin Jefferson is?
I mean, did you watch the wide receiver thing on Netflix?
Yeah, I did.
He's a little bit more of a diva, a little bit more flashy. Jetta, he's got his jet. Like, you're telling me you wouldn't rather have an employee, let's just refer to them as employees, like Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's going to show up every day, put in the extra work, be that guy, or do you want a guy that's showing up with his gold chains and?
Oh man,
what do you want? What do you want?
Be careful.
What do you want? You want the flash or you want the grit?
Wait a minute, you're judging a guy based on his gold chains. Number one, you don't think Justin Jefferson put in the work? He was there on off day while he was hurt in that pool, working his tail off to get better. He wanted to come back in when he had a lacerated spleen. Don't give me that. You don't like him, that's okay.
It's not that I don't like him.
No, I'm referring more to the texter. Right. Don't start making stuff up that he's just because he's a diva. How many divas? Michael Irvin was a diva.
Yeah, good wide receiver.
Randy Moss was a diva.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of
wide
receivers.
Being wide receiver.
Absolutely.
But we have a star, and like Kelvin, furthest from a diva, right? So for some reason, Detroit acquires these excellent wide receivers that don't have that diva mentality, and I'll take that because to me that gives you. It doesn't make you a.
No, yeah.
That's right, baby. How about that, man? Not to just diverge from our whole conversation, but the energy for the Lions that has been provided over the past year and like that preseason game selling out.
We're arguing about whether or not a guy's a top 5 player in his position.
It's a great conversation.
It's hilarious.
Where was he ranked in the top 100? Do you remember Jefferson compared to?
He was ranked, I believe, 7th.
Thank you so much.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Somewhere around there.
And Amon-Ra was what, 30th?
26th,
yeah.
I think.
Okay. That makes
sense. That doesn't convince me one way or the other.
No, I was just wondering because that's what started this whole conversation was this list.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean to me, ESPN is gospel. No way.
Yeah.
They're both in the top 100 players based on what players voted too. I just think there are certain guys who belong in the great conversation, the conversation that he's a great player to be in the top 5, and I think Justin Jefferson is one of them. He's a phenomenal player. If he's a diva, I want to know this. Are you going to be healthy to play every Sunday? And I know he got hurt, but, again, he wanted to come back in, laceration. And are you going to be productive? He's beating double teams on a regular basis. All right?
He had 1,000 yards in 10 games last year.
Yeah.
With Nick Mullins throwing him the ball.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Oh, and who's the other one throwing the ball before Nick
Kellen Mond. And
Josh Dobbs.
Josh Dobbs.
The Pastronaut.
Yeah.
God, what a flash in the pan. He had 4 weeks of being the greatest quarterback we've ever seen.
Here's the other thing.
then he never played again.
This is the other thing that kills me. First of all, we associate diva with wide receiver. Right?
Yeah.
There's plenty of divas who are cornerbacks and quarterbacks. Like, I think Aaron Rodgers is a diva.
The biggest.
Right? Okay. Matthew Stafford played here for a long time, was really productive, was not a diva. People did not like him.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear about, he wants it. You had plenty of guys on your team in the past who weren't divas, who were highly productive, and who loved being here, loved playing here. And you said, get him out.
Yeah,
which is your prerogative. That's fine.
But with this conversation, it's almost all things being equal, let's start getting granular with it and looking what it provides to the team. And I don't know if Justin Jefferson's a Dan Campbell guy. He's a great football player, but is he a Dan Campbell guy? And you know what? We're blessed with Amon-Ra St. Brown. It makes for a fun conversation. Nobody is throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson this year. Who they got? Sam Darnold starting there now?
Sam Darnold, yep.
Man,
that should scare the hell out of Minnesota.
Yeah, especially since JJ's no longer in the equation either.
Yeah, do you think he would have started?
Yeah.
I don't think, not to start the season.
Not week 1, but probably by week 3, week 4.
He was on track, I think, to start. I mean, in today's NFL, when you're investing as much as you are, more and more people are willing to take the chance with the first-round quarterbacks, whether it be Caleb Williams, who's earned it, Jaden Daniels, who seems to have earned it too.
Yep.
Drake May looked really good last night.
Bo Nix.
Right? Bo Nix looked really good for Denver. I'm not saying he's going to be the rookie of the year, but he looked really good. I think more and more teams are going, you know what? Because of the advanced offenses in college football, because of how similar it may be, and the forcing quarterbacks, young quarterbacks now, with those reads at the collegiate level to step up in the next, I think the transition's becoming a little bit easier for them.
It's becoming easier, and as you know, you want that rookie quarterback contract. It makes the whole team a lot easier to build. But when you do have a guy that's proven like Jared Goff, I don't mind giving him the bag either because it's tough to replace that. It's a lot easier to get worse than get better at that position.
For sure.
We got to take a break. Spenny, who are we talking about?
Tell us about Swiss.
Ooh, Swiss. I'm not going to tell you about Swiss. I'm going to tell you about Mark at Swiss INS. And you can email him right now, mark@swissins.com. Let him know that Woodward Sports was talking about him and that we love him. He's out there in Lake Orion. They do a lot of good stuff in the community out there, but they will take care of you whether you have a boat, life insurance, whatever can be insured, they will do it. They can insure Matt Shepard's golden voice. It can happen. Mark at swissins.com.
What about Justin Jefferson's golden chains?
I'm sure those are insured.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of. And guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! Enough Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
The Boys and Girls Club of Michigan has the best youth sports organization in the state. It's called the 3C Sports Conference. You can register now for football and cheerleading. They provide background-checked coaches, transportation, food, all of that good stuff for $175 per child, all for a chance to play in Ford Field for the championship. Put the youth back in youth sports with 3C Sports, presented by the Boys and Girls Club of Michigan.
Hey, boys. Hey, girls. We got a club for you. Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational. And look at this stranger. What up, guy? What up?
What's up, Joy? How you doing?
Here, let's Joy, can you sit in the chair for a second? Can we catch up with Joy Bell for a sec? Just give me 30 seconds, man. I know you're going to get out there and crush the ball.
What up, though?
What up, though?
Hey, they'll wait for you.
Big D energy.
They'll wait for Joy Bell to tee off.
Oh, no, they won't.
Sean Belesian's coming later. He's going to be on.
SB coming?
Yeah.
Tell Sean, man, wait for him. I got to holler at Sean, man.
Yeah, we'll get you on the desk. We can revisit the Sean and Joy show.
Yo, what was it called?
Belesian and Bell.
Belesian and Bell.
Yeah.
And then went from Belesian to Bell to Big D energy.
Yep.
Let's go.
And now
Big
here
D
we
energy.
are. Joik Bell, obviously one of the greatest stories in Lions football history, went from being a security guard at Ford Field to scoring touchdowns with probably the, besides the running back combination that we have now, the best that I've ever seen, 1-2 punch with you and Reggie Bush in a Lions uniform. I know you got to get to golfing, so I'm going to keep this short.
Yeah.
What's it like with the Lions buzz around you now? And you look at this team, would you have liked to play for this team?
I would have loved it, man.
Yeah.
I would have loved it. So it's a couple of coaches that I would have loved to play for. I played for a couple of them. Caldwell, played for Sean Payton, Andy Reid. So I played for a lot of great coaches, and this regime that they brought in here has changed the culture of the team entirely. And it starts from the top all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
From, to Sheila Forham to our GM to even the president and Chris Spielman. Those guys bringing in the right people and bringing in players who want to play for this type of coach, man. I love the energy he brings. I love the culture. When I walk into the building, I feel a different type of energy. And I think the players, this is the type of team that players will want to sign a second contract with.
Yeah. And it's the type of team that will reward players for showing out, too. We've seen that in this offseason, which is nice. And that makes players like, okay, if I do my job.
They care about us, right?
Yeah.
And not only, it's funny, my nephew, he left my daughter's birthday party weekend yesterday to run out to Great Lake Crossing to go get an autograph signing from Amon-Ra Brown.
Yep.
Right, and the way that he interacted with the kids, the fans love him, right? And I think that's one thing about our players now. They embrace the city, and the city embraces them back.
Yep.
And, the way that they play is a testament to, what the city really is, that grit, right? That blue-collar city.
Yeah.
And, no one's going to give us our roses. We got to go take it.
How much do you think it matters to play for a guy who has played, whether it be Dan Campbell, whether it be a guy like Aaron Glenn, Antoine Randall L. How important do you think that is?
You know what I think is great to play for guys who played the game, who understands the game, and most coaches won't know this, but how important rest is. Dan Campbell is, I'll say, he's a player's coach. The players love him. He takes care of his players. He makes sure they get after it when they get after it, but he also gives them time to recover and rest up, which is equally important.
Yeah. Well, Jim Caldwell was like that too.
And what's funny, when I played, Jim Caldwell said that he came up with that concept of making sure that his guys were rested because when he was in Indy, it was a guy, he was probably the 6th or 7th fastest guy on the team. He got hurt, sat out for a couple weeks. He came back, and when he came back, he was flying by everybody. And he was like, how is this guy flying by everybody? He's not faster than everybody. And then he heard his team, he heard some of his players say, we see you, fresh legs.
Fresh legs.
We see you, fresh legs. And so he came up with the concept like, no, we got to start resting our guys a little bit more. They'll play faster.
Yeah.
And so it's good for coaches to understand that. And it's also great for players to play for coaches like that, because when they take care of you, you want to take care of them.
Well, Joik, the chat's going wild for you. Everybody misses you on the network.
Oh, we miss you too, man.
Joik has been found because the joke's been, where's Joik? Where Joik goes? Is he off at sea? Is he with Crystal with an X? What's going on? Where's Joik?
No. I mean, a lot of stuff going on. So I started a tech company. So we have the biggest footprint right now in Michigan. And then I'm opening up a sports bar downtown Detroit. We should be open about another 35, 40 days, called Parlay Detroit. Make sure you guys come check us out. Parlay Detroit, right downtown, right across from La Supreme on Grand River in Washington.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a great area. We're gonna have a cigar lounge, sports bar, speakeasy. We got some stuff coming.
Can we broadcast live from there?
Oh, come on now. We're working that out right now. I've already thought about it. We already thought about it. So So we're looking to have a soft open around the homecoming game for the Lions. But it'll be a good turnout.
That's beautiful.
All right,
Congratulations,
Joik,
man.
I know you got to get out there.
I gotta go now.
Get him straight, baby.
I told you.
Thank you for everything you've meant for the Lions culture and everything for Woodward culture, man. We wouldn't be here without you.
Woodward Sports, man, the #1 sports show in Detroit.
That's right.
Here's the other thing about that.
Shout out
the
Joik.
local
How cool
guy,
is Joik,
the
man?
local guy done well,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
But not just in football.
Right.
It's not. I mean, he's been able to parlay that and use it well into a tech company now. I mean, it's a feel-good story, but it's a well-deserved story. And I'm glad he brought up Jim Caldwell, because one of my favorite coaches I've ever covered, both at the collegiate and the professional level, is Jim Caldwell. You talk about treating players right. Now, he didn't play, obviously. He did play. He played in college, but not in the NFL. This is a guy who earned the respect of players because of how he treated players.
Yeah.
He wasn't Matt Patricia, smartest guy in the room. He wasn't Jim Schwartz. Please find me the national camera, not the local camera. He was about treating people the way you want to be treated. I loved him.
I love Jim Caldwell.
Yep.
I defended Jim Caldwell, and I still defend Jim Caldwell on this network to this day, because there's some people that don't think he was as good of a coach as he was. And Jim Caldwell had the Lions where their floor was 9-8, right? Yeah. Like, their floor was 500 football. And at that time, I was happy with that. Did I want more? Yes. But he was a man who took us to 2 playoff appearances in 4 years, when, I mean, it was 1 playoff appearance in the previous 20, right? So, to me, those baby steps were so important. Then here comes Matt Patricia like a cat, just knocking everything off the table. Like, all right, we're just going to waste all that. Now we got to go through the whole rebuild again. And luckily they got it right with the Dan Campbell regime.
Yeah, I would say about coaching, the thing we have to oftentimes remind ourselves of is, even though it comes down to wins and losses, coaching is more than that.
Yeah.
And what Jim Caldwell did was not just establish, but enhance relationships with players. And they wanted to play hard for him, okay? You need talent. Jim Leland always said that. Jim Leland used to tell me all the time, give me talent, I'll win with talent. Obviously. Give Jim Caldwell some talent. And he had it in Indy, but he did take a team to a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So he could win. He was a really good coach, but he was a great communicator, and he was a great coach, player, type of coach.
Yeah. The people that don't like Jim Caldwell, I'll just never understand
well,
it.
You need to, not that you need to go to practice, but, I mean, these people in the
It sounds like easy now.
No, you really do. You have to understand what else they go through.
No, I was having an argument with Easy. Easy's been a notorious Jared Goff hater since Jared Goff signed here. He's got small hands. He can't make the throw. Okay. Just all about the things that don't matter, right? That's not the winning. I know. But then he goes to one practice, Shep, and guess what? Jared Goff is making the throws in practice, and he's like, well, you weren't in practice. You haven't seen what he can do. And it's like, yeah, he's doing what I've been telling you he can do. Like, we saw it at Cal. We saw it early on against Kansas City when he was in that shootout with Mahomes. You're telling me he made a throw in practice that I haven't seen on film for the past 9 years?
Now you're convinced?
Yeah.
I mean, give me a
look. But that was his trump card. Oh, you didn't know. You weren't at practice. You weren't at practice. You have no idea.
Well, hold on a second. You're watching Jared Goff from the time at Cal to the Rams to the Lions. If you don't think, if it's taken you that long, and it took you one practice to figure out that he's got a strong arm, you haven't been paying attention.
No, it's just he can't evaluate quarterback play. That's what I've learned about Easy. Love the guy, but when it comes to quarterback, his evaluation is just way off because he's looking for the rocket arm. He's looking for the Trey Lance who can run a 4.2 40, break a 90-yard run, but then we're looking at the back end when he throws 3 interceptions right after.
Maybe perhaps the strongest arm quarterback, John Elway.
Yeah.
Jeff George had an unbelievable arm.
Jamarcus Russell did too.
Jamarcus Russell did too. Do you want them as your quarterback? I'll take John Elway, not the other two guys.
Yeah. So like when you brought up practice, it just gave me flashbacks because he thought he was literally schooling me. Like, you didn't go to practice, so you didn't see the throw. Like, it's a practice throw. I'm gonna let you know. Pros look really good in practice.
Yeah.
Guess what? They look really good in practice.
Especially when they're not hitting the quarterback. Right.
They look really good in practice.
Got a red jersey. They don't have a red jersey on Sunday, dude.
Spenny, what do we got to do?
I'll tell them about Mark White because Mark White will help you get to your dream home. They will save you up to $5,000 of your closing costs. That's right. I said $5,000 only at Mark White. So if you need to, go to markwhitesells.com or call 248-290-8242. Again, that's markwhitesells.com or call them at 248-290-8242. Mark White will save you up to $5,000 on your closing cost.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports. In Detroit sports coverage.
Since 1996, Feldman Automotive has been driven to give you a fast, convenient, and risk-free car buying experience called the Feldman Advantage. Shout out to the Feldman Automotive Group for having us out here. It's such a great event. We appreciate them for involving us every single year. And if you need the best car buying experience in the state, just go to any Feldman location near you. We're always in the one in Novi. Shout out to Ryan Palter, who joined us. He's the sales manager there at Feldman Novi. So make sure you check out Feldman Automotive Group to find one near you. Feldman, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
And we are live. It's Big D Energy at the Detroit Golf Club. There's Braylon walking around again. They're getting ready to tee off. The second group is teeing off. They sent out the first one, and now there's a second group going off 15 minutes later to tee off. It is a large golf outing here, Shep.
Yeah, it's a great cause.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of people here.
The Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational, benefiting Corewell Health Children and the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation. This is our 4th year here. Every year, just cannot thank them enough for the invite. The class act. We've been on 15 different golf courses this year, and Detroit Golf Club always does it right for us.
Yeah, they really do, and it's a really fun track. Pros will kill it. They'll be 22 under par or whatever for an entire tournament, like you saw at the Rocket Mortgage Classic. For me, I'm just happy to get in the fairway. Right?
That's pretty much it. And we talked to Joik Bell just about 5-10 minutes ago. If you guys want to go back and rewatch the interview, you can do that.
Yeah. We talked to Irving Fryer. We've talked to Kenny Anderson. So we've had some people stop by, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Joik, local story. Another local story, which I don't think is going to end the way I was going to hope it was going to end for DPJ. I think after this last preseason game, he's one of the guys that's not going to make the 53-man roster. And I thought he had a leg up over Williams, who has proven he could be the 4th, just because of his body size. Like you heard Dan Campbell talking, hey, listen, Williams, great slot receiver, but we got Amon-Ra, we got Khalif. So it's going to be tough for him to get some snaps. We need a guy with some size, 6'4", that would have been it. with DPJ. He had every opportunity, but when your rookie is telling your vet that he's lining up wrong and the team has to waste a timeout in Game 3 of preseason, the writing's kind of on the wall that details are not really important to DPJ, and that may cost him in the end. And I hate that because I wanted DPJ, not because of Michigan, but because he's a Detroit kid, right? He played at Martin Luther King.
Yeah.
He went to Michigan. He could have – the Lions are predicted to go to the Super Bowl. Imagine that story,
awesome.
being able to tell it. We won't be able to tell that story now,
Yeah,
Shep.
we felt great when Jerome Bettis did it with the Steelers at the Super Bowl here when he and the Steelers beat Seattle. I covered that event. It was emotional for him right in the middle of the field, and it was awesome. I don't think – so they're going to take probably 5 wide receivers. We know 3 for certain.
Yep.
Okay? Who the 4th is, okay, we can have debates about that. But I can tell you this. I think the 5th – what's up, TJ? The 5th, I don't think is on this team. I don't think it's on this roster. I think, personally, there goes Jim Larritz. I think the last one might be a casualty from some other team.
Yeah.
Like Houston, for example, who's got a lot of skills on that in that position.
Yeah. Philly just acquired another wide receiver, so that may push someone down on their depth chart that may have some value that, like a Johnny Wilson, a rookie that got drafted this year, something like that. Adania is another guy that's there. That's the, I don't want to say fun part, but when we get the 53-man rosters announced, it's not only about who's not on your team, it's about who the other teams let go.
Right.
And sometimes you can find some gold in those heaps.
Yeah, and I think when Detroit's going to cut some good players, and that's always a good sign. That means that you've been able to build that depth. But as good a story as Donovan Peoples-Jones is, and I remember covering him in high school, like you said, at Cass Tech, I want guys who are going to perform every day. I don't care where they're from.
Right.
I don't care that Barry Sanders wasn't from here.
No.
I wanted Barry Sanders.
I just want that story. Like, it's such a cool storyline. Like, can you imagine being a kid from Detroit, growing up, the Lions have sucked your whole life. Now you make the roster and they win a Super Bowl? Like, that's Disney-level storytelling.
Yeah, I mean, that's a movie within the season, isn't it? Yeah. So
it's not going to happen, but those are the types of cool things that I root for in life.
I'm with you. No, it's a feel-good – yeah, you're right. It's a good feeling in knowing that the guy's probably near the end. He's on the back end of his career than he is closer to the beginning of his career. That would have made it even more special. You could almost see him riding off into the sunset. I accomplished one goal, and to be able to do it in my hometown is even more special. But
listen, if Taylor Decker does it and he's from Ohio State, I'm still going to be just as happy, right?
Exactly
I'm with you.
right.
Just get the W, and we'll worry about the romantic stuff afterwards.
I could fill that in, with all due respect to DPJ. I could fill that in with Aiden Hutchinson.
Okay. Divine Child.
And I still got the same story, so I'm okay with that.
Thank you. Thank you, Shep. Thank you. You really you gave me hope in this because we can still tell the story.
Yeah.
Now it's a Divine Child kid who went to Michigan and took over and is pretty much rated the best player on the team now.
Yeah, just remember this. I mean, this happens to all of us. You're out of town, and people ask you where you're from, you're saying Detroit anyway.
Yeah.
Okay? So, yeah, I'm sure a guy like Aiden Hutchinson, that's what he says when he leaves. That story would be a hell of a story, especially considering he plays such a primary role.
Yeah, and especially because, like you said, he's ranked the highest Lions player according to the NFL or ESPN.
According to ESPN.
Yeah.
Right.
So who else isn't going to make this roster? Because about a week ago, a lot of people were saying James Houston.
I think he's going to make this time.
I'm with you. I think the people that were saying that kind of have missed the narrative on James Houston. They've been waiting for this guy to get back. Even if he had a slow start in preseason, he's going to be on this 53-man roster.
Yeah, I think when you're putting a roster together, Brad Holmes has done a wonderful job of this, him and Dan Campbell, but I think when they're putting it together, they're looking at different traits. James Houston does some things that, very few guys probably can do on that side of the ball, on the defensive side of the ball. So I think he's going to make it. I think he should be pretty comfortable. I'm hoping he's going to be a key contributor too. I think it's not as much about who's going to make this team, but A, how much are they going to play, and B, who are they ranked or positioned on the depth chart ahead of. So obviously the big debate is Nate Sudfeld against Hendon Hooker. Which one do you think is the backup quarterback? I still think, when Dan Campbell comes out early last week, and says Sudfeld's ahead, we'll go back to the practices stuff. they're noticing something that we're not. Okay.
From
It's
my
not always
understanding,
about the preseason.
Sudfeld is a practice warrior. Like, that guy just is amazing in practice. But, you know, how some guys are gamers and you flip the lights on, they just get better. Seems like when you flip the lights on him, he cowers. Like, I know very little about Nate Sudfeld, as I should know very little about a backup quarterback that I hope never plays.
Yeah.
But to me, I saw more out of Jake Fromm this weekend than I did out of Sudfeld.
Well, Sudfeld didn't play.
No, I mean just in general in preseason.
Oh, I got you.
When Sudfeld did play, I was more impressed by the throws Fromm was making than Sudfeld did when he played. And I don't know if it was just the Lions brass being nice to Fromm, saying, hey, you came in and helped us out during camp. We're going to get you something on tape.
Yes.
Now you can send it out to the world, and hopefully you can go get a job.
I think that's exactly what it is.
Which is fine. And that, once again, it just shows how awesome the higher-ups are to think that level about your potential fourth-string quarterback. Like, hey, we still want to do good by you.
Yeah, they get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're one of the best run organizations in sports now. And I don't think neither you nor I would have thought that 10 years ago, thinking that the Lions would be, you know, that blueprint for just about any other organization.
I mean, listen, we used to work in the same building together in the iHeart building, and, you know, we'd come across each other in the hallway sometimes. That was never the time we could walk up to each other and be like, hey, the Lions are ran pretty well. Like, how far we've come, Shep, is pretty insane.
It was more like, hey, Stick, how was your weekend? Really crappy. How was yours? Yeah. Well, it was good until Sunday.
Yeah, my fantasy team won. That's what we had to look forward to during football season.
Do you think Hendon Hooker has solidified himself as the number 2?
I do.
Why?
Just after that second game. The third game, obviously, you saw some warts. You saw dealing with the pressure. But
yeah, there's a couple throws on Saturday that they just did not look good.
Yeah.
And easy throws, by the way. We're talking little flares. We're talking little outs. We're not talking drop back 15-yard out.
Right.
We're not talking number to sideline, which is really difficult. Slant routes can be challenging. He throws it on the wrong shoulder. There's little things like that I can understand why some people are like, well, let's see. We're not sure yet. I'm not dissing on the guy because it's not an easy position, especially when you haven't played it. You didn't play it at all last year.
Nope.
I love his athleticism. I like that he brings something different than Jared Goff does to the proverbial
That's what I was just
table.
going to say.
But I would be really concerned if you had to turn to him and use him as the quarterback in a 3 to 4 week span.
3 to 4 weeks, I don't think any backup quarterback that we have on the roster is someone I'm confident in getting us some wins, even if it's Sudfeld.
Same.
But what I do like is the change of pace when he does come in, right? Because now at least the defense has been preparing for pocket pass Goff all week long. You know he's not a mobile QB. Right. Now this guy, it's happened to the Lions before. Now this guy comes in, and all of a sudden your whole game plan's out the window. You don't know who to key on. So I like him as that change-up role in pinches. 4-game stretch, I don't think any of us want our backup starting 4 games in a row, period. But if it's got to be Hooker, it's got to be Hooker. I'm okay with it at this point. And I love that we're to the point where we have so many riches that this is the main debate. Our fourth wide receiver and our backup quarterback.
Yeah, I think a lot of people really are interested in the Hooker standpoint from this angle. He was drafted by the Lions.
Mm-hmm.
You feel like you got a steal in the 3rd round because many people feel like he was a better rounded quarterback than the final drafting would indicate. And because you're always looking for the next guy. We felt like Green Bay did it the right way. They had Favre, but they drafted Rodgers. They had Rodgers, they drafted Love. We feel like those are the things that really good organizations do, and that the Lions have finally done that because they've really never done that. Don't give me Dan Orlovsky in the 6th round out of UConn. We're talking about guys who were legitimate that other teams thought about taking at that time.
Yeah, the Lions definitely have gotten better at drafting. I mean, It's a great scenario to be in when you're looking at your backup quarterback. You spend a 3rd-round pick on him, which is that's pretty good draft capital.
Absolutely, it is.
But I think Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell, we've seen them have a plan, but then deviate when they see something else works, like Aubrey Pleasant. You know, I think that's a good example of getting rid of something quickly.
Sure.
And I think their plan was Hendon Hooker is going to be our next guy, right, in 2 years, 3 years. But then Jared Goff goes back last year and has a season like he had. This whole city's chanting his name. the team is galvanized around him, sharing his identity, and he's now sharing a little bit of our identity as Detroiters. It kind of changed their game plan to where now you're looking at Hendon Hooker as potentially a trade bait option because you're giving him an opportunity. There may be some teams that want him, and you could maybe potentially get some of that draft capital back, or you're looking at having one of the best backups in the league. Either way, you're in good shape.
Yeah, I would agree with the latter. I don't know what his trade value would be because, like you just said, third-round pick, that's a pretty heavy resource.
Yeah.
You sure as hell ain't getting that back.
No.
Okay, Trey Lance was third overall and was brought back for a fourth-rounder. So that's not happening. And he had games under his belt, by the way.
Okay.
Hendon Hooker did not, has not had. My hope is that Detroit is kicking some serious tail on a regular basis, and you're going to see Hendon Hooker play some decent fourth-quarter snaps. Now, that's not realistic because that's not the way the NFL is built. You're just not blowing
one-score
teams
games,
out. Right. So, but if you can get him into a few games and you can get him, his proverbial feet wet, then I think that's really going to go a long way to figuring out what his long-term position will be with the Lions besides just backup.
Yeah, but when the 53-man roster drops tomorrow, it's going to be interesting to see see that locker room and to see who the quarterbacks are going to be. Spenny, we got to take a quick break. Who we talking about?
You tell them about KDK Law.
Ooh, KDK Law. If you're going through a rough divorce, keep your stuff. KDK Law will help you do it. You don't have to give it all up. I'm telling you, these people have been in the game for a long time, and they will take care of you and everything that you hold valuable. So if you're looking for a lawyer, lawyer up now with KDK.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
It's bear hunting season, and Dan Campbell is hungry for some kneecaps.
If you can just get a hold of them and you start dragging their ass out to the deep, dark abyss, you can drown them.
The Kings of the North are back for another year of the brand new Lions. Make sure you're locked in to Detroit's #1 sports network for all the news and info on your Detroit Lions.
Woodward Sports, let's go.
Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
And we are live at the Feldman Automotive Children's Miracle Celebrity Invitational, benefiting Corewell Health and, of course, the Mark Wahlberg Youth Foundation, brought to you by Quantum Ventures, Shift Digital, Vesco Oil Corporation, CIBC, Corewell Health, and a ton more. And, of course, Woodward Sports. We are live with Big D Energy. My name is Stick, filling in for Neil Rule, who's probably on the back nine by now at his golf outing, along with D-Mac at the DCFC outing. We, of course, have Matt Shepard filling in today at this beautiful golf outing. And, part of the reason we wanted Shep a part of this is because you know a lot of these guys. I mean, you've been a staple in the Detroit sports media for how long have you been?
About 25 years.
Since I can remember, because I got in Detroit media in 2001. So, yeah, you've been in it since as long as I can remember.
A little bit. Yep, it's been fun. Good ride.
And you met a lot of these guys along the way, so it's kind of cool to get out here and just shake some hands, kind of have a little family reunion.
Yeah, just cover some of these guys. I mean, sometimes players or ex-players now are a little bit more willing to chat with the media than they did when they were playing. You know what I mean?
Well, do you blame them?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Absolutely not. So when I go up to Kenny Anderson, I said, hey, I really enjoyed watching you play and covered you a little bit while I was covering the Pistons for years. Not that he remembers, but he has a pretty good understanding that I've got a pretty good understanding of what he did. And the same thing with Irving Fryer. Now, I didn't cover Irving Fryer, but still following him and watching him as a unanimous All-American in Nebraska and being as good of a player as he was for a long time, it's just kind of fun. The thing in sports – and I would say, I guess you could carry it over into entertainment, although we're not necessarily in that field per se. The thing in sports is you interview a lot of the players. You don't get starstruck, but you just enjoy talking to them about what they did, what made them tick, and comparing having a comparison between what they did as a player and how it is now. So we talked to Irving Fryer about that. You talked to Kenny Anderson about that, trying to validate certain things, but also trying to, learn a little bit more about what is different now compared to then, even though we have a pretty good understanding of what it is.
Yeah, that's what makes sports great is, I spent a long time in top 40 radio. Like, that's where I cut my teeth in media. And, I never got nervous interviewing artists because they didn't really mean anything to me. But the first time I met Calvin Johnson, I was a little coy, a little shy, didn't know how to really approach him, didn't want to be that guy,
Yeah.
And I still get that with certain athletes here. Like, we interviewed Alan Trammell last week, and, that's Tram, man. Not only is he 84 World Series champion, I was 3 when that happened. I don't remember him playing, but growing up, that's all I ever knew was Alan Trammell. I've had the opportunity. So this job has provided me with a lot of opportunity to meet your heroes, and they tell you not to. But sports guys seem to be really, really cool.
It depends on
they're people.
A lot depends on the team for sure. But I've played golf with Tram. He and I have hung out together down in Lakeland when I was calling Tigers. Anybody who says you don't want to meet your heroes, bull. He was my hero. He's the guy I wanted to talk to and pattern my game after, and watched him at Tiger Stadium constantly. There was no disappointment there. You're right. Not many have brought disappointment. Now, there might be some disappointment when you're covering them as they played. But once they've retired, usually it's totally different. I think there's the only time I ever got nervous, I was covering the Detroit Grand Prix, and Paul Newman was the owner of one of the cars. And he was coming by on a moped. And I was walking closer toward the track, away from the paddock area, or down toward the paddock area. He was coming this way, and I said, "Hey, Mr. Newman, how about an interview?" Not thinking for a second that he would stop and do it. Slams on the brakes, gets off the moped. "Sure, kid, what do you need?"
That's awesome.
Well, it was until I realized, what am I going to ask him?
You didn't prep for that interview?
Well, I don't want to ask him about movies, for crying out loud.
Ask about salad dressing.
That's exactly what I did. That was the first question I asked. It was about salad dressing. And I went downhill from there. But it was fun.
I think the coolest thing, obviously, thankful for Woodward Sports putting me in these opportunities to meet, some of the icons of my youth. The biggest one for me was Tom Izzo. Like meeting and talking with Tom Izzo. I talked to him a couple times at the Izzone campouts, getting tickets at MSU, but actually being there with him, sitting down with him and talking to him, I was like, this is awesome. This is really cool. And Calvin was awesome too. Met him at the greenhouse opening a couple years ago. So it's just so cool to meet these guys.
Well, now Calvin, I feel like we see Calvin
all the time,
monthly. It's Calvin's out again with Rob. Yeah, okay, cool.
The first time I met him, I was like, "Hi, Mr. Johnson. Right. Nice to meet you." Now it's like, "Oh, what's up, Calvin?" Yeah, just pull up. It's so cool.
Yeah, and it's awesome to really grow Woodward Sports to be a part of this because like we said, you've been part of the sports media aspect for a long time. And I feel like I'm interviewing you now, but how has the media coverage of teams changed? Because it used to be you had your beat reporters who had insight, and they were the ones with the press access. But now you got kids like Spenny that are able to get press access and do all this and cover. Cool. Yeah. It's kind of like the Wild West, but it also opens up some different content.
I would say, and look, being a beat reporter is really hard. It's really challenging. Mm-hmm. It's constant. I don't think there's as many there's too many who want to be friends with players.
Okay.
Yep. And coaches and managers and front office because they need certain information. You talk with, I've worked with Jack Morris and Kirk Gibson and Dan Petrie. They remember certain guys, Gene Guidi, for example, Joe Falls, for example, legendary guys. They weren't afraid to call a spade.
Right.
They weren't afraid to ask the hard questions. They weren't afraid to give an opinion. You don't find that from writers very often anymore.
That's what made Terry so great.
Who's that?
Terry Foster. He was a great beat reporter.
Yeah, and then eventually a columnist. You have to be willing to do. It's a fine line between calling somebody out and still creating or nurturing that trust with them,
right?
For certain information. So you can be professional, but what's happened in the media today is that people, I think there's more gotcha moments. You know, everybody wants to be the story. I want to be that guy, and everything else be damned, professionalism be damned.
Yeah, because it's about, it's kind of gone the way of traditional news, too. It's all about that viral clip instead of having the context and the hard story that took you 4 weeks to write.
100%.
Now it's about, it took you 4 weeks to write a story. We only got 5,000 clicks off it. If you would have put out one story each day for those 4 weeks, we'd have 40,000 clicks. It doesn't matter what the content is. Just throw something out there.
That's a good point.
So it's really interesting to see the evolution. But because of that evolution, we're allowed to be here, too, because part of the reason I wanted to do Woodward Sports was I'm watching ESPN. I'm watching a lot of these guys talk, and it's like, why is their opinion more valuable than mine? Like, what?
It's not.
It's not. It really isn't. And same thing with the people in the chat. Your opinion's no more valid, or my opinion's no more valid than whoever in the chat. I just have a microphone, and lots of people hear it.
Yeah, the only thing I would say to that is people in the chat, I think, do rely on us. Look, like it or not, we help form people's opinions. So people in the chat,
you hear that, Easy?
Oftentimes learn from people like you, people from Easy, people from Spenny, people from me, people from wherever. My hope is that all of us are taking that responsibility seriously and using it by going to coaches, going to practices, going to players, learning from them, and then reiterating that type of knowledge so people in turn. Look, all of us go to parties, all of us go to different gatherings, right? Mm-hmm. How many times do you have a friend come up to you and say, well, this is what they should be doing, and then you'll maybe push back a little bit because it's our business, right? And they'll stand firm. They don't necessarily listen to you, but when you talk to them about construction or talk to them about accounting or talk to them about whatever it is they do, they're like, wait a minute, I do that for a living. Yeah, you do. Just like I do this for a living.
Thanks, buddy.
Right? But that's the part of the beauty of sports. The beauty of sports is that we can watch it, people can watch it, and they form those opinions. And because they've played it, and because they watch, and because they read, and because they listen, they can form those opinions that are worth noting.
Yeah, the one thing I majorly love about sports and reporting on sports is just how communal it is. And you see it is, with digital, you can't hide numbers like back in the radio days. Like Arbitron, we all know the radio numbers, it's 1,000 people represent a community of 4 million. You extrapolate the data from that, and that's how you get your ratings. Here, it's viewers, right? We know how many people are watching. We know how many impressions we have. Yeah. And you can see that after a Lions game, everybody just wants to be a part of the conversation. They want more. Like watching the game, getting the victory wasn't enough. I want to tune in. And then you see the communal aspect in the chat with these people are a family, right, Spenny? And each chat on the show, on this network, has a different personality. Yeah. It's been a fun social experiment. Spenny, I would say the heavyweights chat is probably the most brutal.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They don't pull their punches at all. It is a very toxic atmosphere, but we love it.
They have made kids quit. They made kids cut their hair. Just by the pressure that the chat puts on them, it's fantastic.
It's good stuff. We love our chat the way it is.
Look at that smile.
It's so much fun. I love it because we just go back and forth. Because that's how me and Easy are. We talk crap to each other. Because me and him we're actually like best friends in real life too. So
the fact that you two found each other in this crazy world is if you don't believe in love, the Easy Spenny story is love personified, because Easy started working for the network. We found him on YouTube just doing his podcast, and Spenny just comes waltzing into a big boy broadcast one time saying, I want to do sports.
Yeah.
And then these two meet each other, and I don't know how the conversations went from there, but next thing you know, they're in the studio creating their own little show, and now we moved it to the full-time network, and here we are.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
There's that connection.
Yeah.
You always want that connection, don't you?
Yep, and it's tough to find that. You know that, working with other people, I'm sure, play-by-play in color, like, that's a dance, right? You need someone that knows, I'm not going to step on your toes, this is your moment to shine, and sometimes you're working with new people, and it's tough to find that.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is as long as you communicate, as long as you're honest with people. I remember saying this to every single analyst I've ever worked with, whether it be Nate Burleson in football, Chris Spielman in football, whatever. I say, listen, there's going to be times where you're not going to like me. There's going to be times where I'm doing something. Just tell me. So I make sure that I'm not doing it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
It's going to get worse if you don't say something.
Yep.
So at least have a conversation about it. You know what I mean?
When I started doing color commentary, the one habit I had to break is I get excited. Like when I'm watching the game, I get excited. Yeah. But it's your job as the play-by-play to describe what's going on, and you don't need me in the background going, this is great.
Let me finish my call, thank you, and then you can jump in.
And that's, Chad Bush a couple times will be like, stick. I got this. And now our timing's much better. Spenny, who are we talking about?
We are talking about the live watch parties that you can tap into every week during football season this year. The heavyweights are going to be live watching the games at Hayes Social. Make sure you check it out. And, of course, the post-game show with Stick and Anson, also at Hayes Social for every Lions game this year. It's presented by Sabbath Coffee Roasters. Again, we are providing the best Lions coverage in the state. Make sure you tap in with Woodward Sports all season. It's going to be a blast.
To any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men and claim your throne for a king's treatment from one of our talented stylists. Open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime. Just get to a Lady Jane's today and receive a precision haircut, scalp massage, hot lather neck shave, and a hot towel treatment. A haircut should not be a chore. It should be an experience. And that's exactly what Lady Jane's has to offer. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins are always welcome. There's always a location near you. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Braylon Edwards here, Premier Pet Supply. Man, just looking around, who's got it better than pets? Come on, a baby stroller for Coda? A chef for Lola, really? You don't have to tell me who the real boss here is. Who's got it better than pets? Nobody, especially here at Premier Pet Supply. For over 30 years and more than 13 locations, Premier Pet Supply has everything that your pet can dream of, and guess what? It's all under one roof. Premier Pet Supply, family owned, operated, and proud to call Metro Detroit home. Check out premierpetsupply.com or scan the QR code today. Who's got it better than pets?
Nobody! Soroki's Crispy Chicken and Pizza is taking over Michigan. Locations are popping up all over Metro Detroit. They just opened one in Madison Heights. So if you want the best chicken, pizza, and biscuits in the game, go to Sorokis.com to find a location near you. Soroki's. Now that's crispy.
I think I went to the OG Soroki's location in Wixom the other day.
Why in the world do we do this? Why do you do this to us?
I'm sorry.
I'm so hungry right now. Okay, and then you're giving me Soroki's chicken and pizza and
the biscuits.
All the things that I want right now, you're telling me about that I can't have.
Well, I've got a wilted salad in my car.
I'll tell you what you are. You're a tease. That's what you are.
I've got a wilted salad in my car if you want some of that.
How do you get me wanting a salad out of chicken and pizza?
A wilted salad.
There's chopped up turkey on it, if that works.
Don't get healthy on me now.
Warm lettuce and warm chopped up turkey.
And cheese.
Semi-sweaty cheese.
Yeah,
with spoiled dressing. That sounds
tell me it's ranch.
Oh, no, there's no dressing on it. I keep
Oh.
the dressing on the side, and that's in the fridge at the studio, so that'll be good.
That's
it's light Italian.
You really didn't think this one through today.
Yeah, I was just gonna say
I did it last time.
Thought that out.
I put it out of the sun. Last time I left it in the sun, and the cheese melted a little bit, but I still ate it.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
I'm going to go for it.
Good for you.
Cheese is an interesting food item. It really is.
Yeah.
I would say this, Dick. If he was that concerned about it, we've had numerous breaks. He could have run out to
Could have
get
went and got it, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Spenny cares too much about a salad. I
Nah,
gotta be honest.
it'll be fine.
So here's the prediction. That goes in the garbage disposal before it goes in your stomach.
Oh, no, I'm going to eat it.
You are?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure.
Okay. So make sure you got somebody who's his backup, because he's going to need a backup for tomorrow.
Chris.
Yeah.
We are live here, the Feldman Automotive big golf outing at what is it? Detroit Golf Club. I was going to say DGC, Detroit Golf Club. Beautiful facilities around here. I mean, the food, the breakfast was amazing. Did you try that bacon? Speaking of amazing
the bacon
food?
was really good.
Let me tell you how elevated.
sausage.
Let me tell you how elevated this place is. They display the bacon from burnt to least done.
Okay, so where are you in there?
I'm a middle guy. I like the chew.
Yeah,
I like the chew a little. I don't like.
I like
the
my
burnt.
bacon crispy.
But I don't think I've ever seen that where they've laid it out.
Yeah, nor I. But it's a classy move. They did the same thing with the fruit. I'm sure you passed right by the fruit and the pastries.
I went second round.
Second round.
Second
Okay,
round.
yeah.
I did savory first, then I went sweet.
This will tell you the dedication one has when they show up at a remote and you're a member of the media. Oftentimes, the media is all about where is the food,
yes,
and is it free. Stick was out searching for interviews. I was in getting eggs and sausage and fruit first and foremost.
Yeah, well,
because I was hungry as a hostage, so I
Maybe,
had to come in.
maybe they'll have Wahlburgers. They had Wahlburgers last year for lunch.
I think so. They had the Wahlburgers truck out there and some
Yeah.
bags and whatnot.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's class actor.
That you know what that goes really well with a wilted salad. I don't know if you're aware of that.
I mean, what doesn't?
It's a perfect pairing.
Come on.
Tigers. Let's talk some Tigers. They are 27-20 since July 1st. Doesn't mean anything because they pissed away the whole season early on, but they're 27-20 since July 1st.
It's fun to watch the young guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I like watching Jace Young. I really like watching Cole Keith. I'll continue to love to watch Riley Green. I'd like to see Dylan Dingler be a little bit more productive right now. Tonight we'll see Ty Madden with his Major League debut, so I think that's a lot of fun. When you're playing the White Sox in a series, you're going to get the White Sox again in a series before the season is over. You're going to get Colorado in a series before the season is over. You got the Angels coming to town, and you got the Oakland A's. You've got 5 teams right there alone. You should win each of those series. My question to you would be, they had 78 wins a year ago. Do you think they'll have at least 78 or more this year?
I mean, if they win those 5 series, it should be right at it.
You would think so.
You would think so, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're right around 500. And
no, they had to beat Chicago. I mean, look,
but
I hate taking
you got to
things
play
away.
who's on the schedule,
Agreed,
right?
100%. I hate taking things away from teams that have accomplished something. It's not fair, okay? Because the White Sox drive BMWs too. They're 31-100. Can I say that again? They're 31-100.
The fastest team to 100 losses ever?
Second fastest.
Second fastest?
Yeah,
Okay.
the 62 Mets. They are a team that is a minus 260 or so in run scoring differential. Do you know how hard that is to do?
Yes.
That is pretty crazy.
Do you know how bad you have to be to do that? It is brutal. Like, there's nobody outside of maybe Garrett Crochet on that team that you'd want.
When the Tigers lost.
That said, like Spenny said, I like watching the young guys too. Here's my concern. My concern is that Tigers fans write off the rest of the summer and say it's okay because next year we get a chance to watch the young guys.
That's what we did this year, though.
I know. That's what I was just going to say. That's what we did this year. Yeah. At some point, Tigers fans, Detroit media, whatever, they have to pound their damn fist on the table and say, you know what? Can we get a winning record? Can we challenge for a division? Why can Kansas City, who finished dead last in the division, it wasn't the White Sox, wasn't Detroit, Kansas City finished dead last. They are now 3 games back in the division, and they sit in the final wild card spot. Why is that possible? Why is Minnesota able to stay consistent? Why can Cleveland, who finished 10 games below the break-even last year, now with 75 wins, I think it is, only 3 fewer than the New York Yankees, why can they do it and Detroit can't?
I don't know, because I was told, to pull our Neil Rule quote, that this division was going to be trash this year, and the Tigers had an opportunity to take advantage and beat the top team.
Strike one, Neil.
No, Neil's the I was told guy.
Oh.
Putting it on the people who say it.
Oh.
So, yeah, that's me quoting Neil Rule with the I was told part, because that's what I was told, is that the Tigers were going to run away with this division this year. And to your point, last year it seems like we're in Groundhog's Day. Last year, they're trending up. Next season, they're going to carry this momentum over.
Right.
It didn't carry. I think we all had that hope because of the Lions, right? They ended 2 seasons ago very strong, and it did actually carry over through an offseason, which doesn't often happen, and it happened with the Lions. So we believed it could happen with the Tigers, and then The Tigers went Tigers.
Yeah, we think that in general. I say we, as in all. Most people think, well, just because you reached a certain step one year, the next year you're going to elevate.
Right.
Pistons, for example, needed to get by the Atlanta Hawks, needed to get by the Boston Celtics. Then they get to the Lakers, they lose in '88, and then they finally win. Well, they needed that experience. That's not always the case. And it sure isn't always the case that a team jumps from one standing to the next. Look at the Giants 2 years ago. The New York Giants made the playoffs. Last year they did not. Things happen for a reason, right? Just because the Tigers won 78 games and you felt halfway decent about them doesn't mean that they're going to automatically win 88 games this year. I'm just wondering why Tigers fans just feel like, okay, we're good. We're going to see the young guys. That's what I wanted out of this year. And then next year. What if those young guys who don't have a full season under their belt, what if they struggle next year?
Yeah.
Because suddenly every other pitcher has the book on them.
And it's not only about that, like the young guys are one aspect of it, but it's also other teams get better too.
Exactly.
Kansas
City's a great example.
And that's what scares me, not to shift from baseball to football back and forth, but that's what scares me about the Lions last year pissing away that golden opportunity in the NFC Championship game. We assume that they're going to be back there. We assume that it's going to happen again, but other teams got better too. Other teams are now gunning for the Lions. Other teams have now everything that the Lions are going to do on tape. Can Ben Johnson still be creative enough to fool defenses? So I'm with you 100% on that. So even though the Tigers are looking good at the end of this season, has no bearing on what's going to happen in the offseason and the rest of the division.
I get that concern about the Lions. Here's why I think it's slightly different. First of all, it's a young team. I think they're built for long term. I think with their youth and their production and their versatility and their depth, I think it's a little different. The other reason is because their strength is where most teams can overcome a loss of a key player here or there, not quarterback, but here or there, because they are so strong up front.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is the best part of that team. Anybody who follows that team knows it. That means you are built to handle things indoors and outdoors. You're built to handle things when your passing game's awry, but your running game is good, and vice versa. And you can afford to lose a guy or two once the season begins for a couple of games or so. As long as those guys up front are the main cog on a regular basis, I think that's the reason they're going to be in pretty good shape all year long.
And, my brain tells me that, right? But my heart of what I've experienced as a Lions fan over the course of my life also tells me that, hey, the second...
Well, we've never been in this position.
We've never been in this position, but that's also foreign for me, too. Being in this position, expecting them to win... I'm not prepared for that heartbreak if they don't. I'm really if the Lions pull the rug this year, it will hurt more than the 0-16.
But you've never experienced it, so I know we got to go to a break. You have never experienced it. In '92, when they played the Dallas Cowboys and then they got blown out by the Redskins, those are the people who should be concerned about it because they've seen it. They won 12 games that year. Yeah. They were supposed to be the team of the decade instead of the Cowboys.
Were they supposed to be? Because
absolutely they were.
So
There's
that was
no doubt
92?
About it. Yes.
91, 92. So I was 10 years old then. And I remember, I vividly remember them going in to play Washington and then just getting demolished.
Yeah. 41-10, I think.
And I may have been too young to realize the buzz going into the next year. But I feel like this team now has a brighter future than that team was predicted back then. But you're saying the national pundits were this is going to be the team of the future?
Without a doubt.
Really?
The team of the decades. They were supposed to be the team of the decades in the 90s. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Because they had the pieces. Yep.
What the hell went wrong?
Our show's almost over.
How long we got?
Right.
What do we got, Spenny?
I could tell them about Planet Fitness because Planet Fitness is the home of the judgment-free zone where anyone, and we mean anyone, can feel comfortable and work on their fitness goals. You can get a full-body workout in 30 minutes, and all memberships include fitness training. Do all of that at Planet Fitness. Find one near you. Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
The Great American Chevy Week is back and bigger than ever at Feldman Chevrolet. Choose from the largest inventory of award-winning Chevys, all priced to move for the biggest week of the year. Get this 2024 Silverado for only $213 a month, or this 2024 Equinox for as low as $249 a month. Feldman takes the Great American Chevy Week to another level. Feldman Chevrolet, Michigan's #1 Chevy dealer.
Enough Detroit sports. Make sure you listen to Ermanni and Edwards with Maz next, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the Woodward Sports Network.
Jeff S. Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. He is Woodward Sports Injury Insider, so make sure you check out when he's on BDE on Tuesdays and Ermanni and Edwards on Thursdays, presented by Michigan Sports and Spine and MRI of Southfield. Dr. Jeff S. Pierce is here to keep you in the game. For more information, go to michigansportsandspine.com. Dr. Jeff S. Pierce, he's the man with the plan.
We're sitting over here being golf commentators.
I love
Wahlberg approaches the green.
Yeah, Paul Wahlberg. It's interesting. He's got a hybrid from 95 yards away.
95 yards. All 4 team members come up about 75 to 100 feet short on the green.
Yeah, someone's going to have to pull one out of their ear to make this an interesting hole. If that's the best you got out of 5 players, you got serious issues.
No
What's
wonder
interesting
600.
about that is that's usually our game, right? But it's easy to make the commentary since you're sitting in a comfortable Woodward Sports chair.
Yep. It's always easier to commentate than actually do. Like, how did he drop that? Well, there was a guy that could run a 4.240 and bench press 400 pounds screaming, running at him. Why did he short arm that? Well, he didn't want to die.
So not to name drop here, but last year in Lakeland, I'm playing with Jim Leland during spring training.
Legendary.
And he was about that far away, but in the fairway. And he takes out his putter, of course. And I said, Jim, that's a long putt, man. You don't want to use your blade, huh? Or you don't use your wedge. You're going to go with the blade. He's like, Arnold Palmer once told me. I'm thinking, Arnold Palmer. He played with Arnold Palmer. Arnold Palmer said, any chance you get to use your putter, you use the flat stick. I said, all right, well, good luck with that. Drained it. Drained it. It had to be at least 75 feet away. It was unbelievable.
I love Jim Leland.
Yeah.
Me too.
There's very few sports figures that I love, and Jim Leland was one.
He's
of them.
beloved in this town, isn't he?
Well, he reminded me a lot of my dad and my grandfather. Just how he thought baseball, how he taught baseball, how he talked baseball, and just. Then you go back and watch him just reaming Barry Bonds up and down when he was in Pittsburgh, and just him smoking heaters in the dugout. And
so that's all old school. Did you watch any of the Maddox documentary last night?
I did not. No.
Oh my God, you guys, see if you can find it. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
How there's one situation. Okay, we got one situation where he's out there, and his captain Andre Dawson, the Hawk, got plunked in the face by Eric Shaw of the San Diego Padres. Blood on the plate, gets up, tries to fight him. Shaw runs away. During that game, Maddox was the starter, but he was only 21 years old. And before the game, the Cubs management said, you got to win this game to stay in the majors. If not, we're sending you back down, because he had been struggling, okay? Rick Sutcliffe was on that team, came up to Maddox, said, listen, you go out there, get your 3 outs, then so you're in line for the win and you can stay. After that, after this inning, you do whatever you feel like you got to do in retribution. Maddox said, I'm not going to do that. First pitch hits Benito Santiago in the ribcage. Gets sent down because he got kicked out of the game. When he came up 15 days later, because that was the minimum you had to stay, I think it was Jim Fry was the manager, had the lineup card. And the lineup card had one of those Sunday Jim Leland cards where you're playing Ryan Rayburn instead of somebody who's a usual starter. Andre Dawson went up there with a black marker, crossed off 2 to 3 names, and put the regular starters in because Maddox was starting. Because that's what it meant to him.
Wow.
So when you say Jim Leland old school, that's old school stuff right there. That's the stuff that a lot of sports misses right now.
Yep.
That's really good stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
That's amazing. That's a great story.
It's a really good documentary. If you guys want to watch a good one on baseball, you'll really like it.
Please do. I mean, baseball, I feel it's gotten a little bit of momentum going behind it with last year, some of the changes that they've had. But I really, grew up loving baseball, and I want it to become I want it to become America's pastime again. It's going to be tough. It's a tough hill to climb, but baseball is a great sport, and there's a lot of great stories that go in with it.
No doubt. Yeah. Hey, enjoyed this very much, man. Way to go, Stick. Appreciate it.
We haven't done a show together ever, I don't think. So it was fun to sit on a desk with you or these chairs with you and share some of your experience and just general knowledge. And there aren't many people I can sit up here with that make me change my mind on a few things. And you brought up some really good points and some counterpoints. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, we also want to thank Kenny Anderson for stopping by,
Yes,
Irving
sir.
Fryer, Joy Bell. I know we're going to be out here all day, so enjoy Woodward Sports the rest of the day, everybody, right here from Detroit Golf Club.
Yep. Thanks, Spenny. Thank KG, the whole team. Up next, Sean Belizean and Anson, the odd couple, right here on the Woodward Sports.